Hello, 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 and welcome back to WOR PC Tier 3. I once again return after a week away, but I'm joined by my great friend, Frostbreath. How are you doing on this absolutely great night?
Yeah, it's pretty warm out here, but other than that, doing great.
That's good to hear. And this week, is it's definitely a special week because we go to, I think, a driver favorite, a fan favorite, and definitely a commentator's favorite of Brazil, Sao Paulo.
yes.
We go to Interlagos for this race, which I have no words for how good this track is. I do have the track map of it, actually. And here it is. As you can see, 4.309 kilometers, 2.677 miles, 15 turns, 2 DI zones down the pit straight and down the back straight. Those are the two ones. Of course, there's the long straight that actually has 3 corners as part of a straight, which is an odd thing to have, of course, which goes down the pit straight, which is called. Tonight, going to be an interesting one, of course. It's round 4 of the season. We went to Belgium last week. I'll actually pull up the calendar while I'm at it. We've gone to Australia. We went to Austria, of course, which was very enjoyable. And same with Belgium. Sadly, I wasn't here for that. But as I've heard and as I watched, it was incredibly enjoyable. We go to Sao Paulo this week, which is absolutely amazing for round 4. And then, of course, we have Qatar, Abu Dhabi, Italy, Bahrain, Mexico City, Saudi Arabia, and Japan. Still all to come this season. And so, this is just the beginning, isn't it? This is just the beginning of a season like this.
I almost thought you were going to say this is the beginning of the end, but thankfully it isn't.
If I did, I'd be a bit worried of my mental state. But one thing I have is the standings for this week, which, of course, after last week changed. Here they are, Justin Ertz, still on top, RB 1-2, and Alpine 3-4. I've never seen this in Tier 3. In all of my 4-5 seasons I've been, I think 5 seasons I've been here, I've never seen 2 teams dominate the top 4 places in the standings. Justin Ertz, though, he's got a good lead, 8 points ahead. You know, he's had 2 podiums now this season. Very nice to see, of course, from Justin Ertz is to get those 2 podiums. One man who's been on a little bit of a charge, you know, he's been sort of sitting in the mid-pack, but definitely somebody we need to look at, is the man of Jacob, who, of course, got P3 last race, pulled himself up into a chance for P4 in the Drivers' Championship. So he's definitely in for a chance here tonight.
Yeah, and don't forget, Jay Candy last week had his wrist problems. He had the championship lead, had to give it away to his teammate Justin after he came home second. But Balin Telekis is back on top of the podium last week in Belgium as well. So plenty of contenders for the title still this early in the season. I'm watching a Brazil track right now here, Interlagos. It's raining, so that's going to be a promising one.
It definitely is. It's definitely going to be something very interesting that we don't get to see often. I know people go, oh, Brazil is so fun and it's this and that, but you don't get to see this very often with a track like this. Usually it's sunny. Let's be honest, that's how Brazil usually is. But as you can see here, of course, it's raining, and this is reminding me of one year specifically, the year of a Haas pole position, Mr. Kevin Magnussen, specifically in 2022, who took pole position.
Yep, 2 years ago already.
Feels like it was yesterday. His only pole position that he has in his entire career. But none of us are complaining, let's be honest. That was still an absolutely amazing thing to do in a Haas. Took complete control. But here tonight, the big question now is it going to be raining for the race? We don't know. As commentators, we don't know. I can't see anything to tell us whether it will be raining or not. But obviously the drivers will know because they'll get the forecast. One man who I think really needs to put on a good race tonight is actually the Aston Martin of Ivan Sanz-Maria. Now, I'm not going to look at him because he's in the pits, but he really needs to put on a strong race tonight and pull himself back into it because he's got some P6, P7, and P8, by the way, this season. He's fully been locked out in those lower, sort of mid to lower points positions. And, you know, he's having a much better season than he did last season round, but he is still struggling. But as we speak about that, because the lap is so short, sadly, we're going to have to put that conversation on hold. And do you want to take us away for the lap with Thomas Bolger?
Most certainly. And the good news is we finally got the official F1 cars here on track. So the Red Bull then, I'm so happy to say it, is coming around turn 1 here through the Senna S as they go. And with this rain, the great equalizer, so they say. But with these cars being equal, that really won't affect them all too much. No DRS on the back straight as one of the Haases is leaving the pit exit right there. Then approaching turn 4 with an 18.574 to open up this ball with. Then through the second sector, the most technical one out of the lot. Many corners right here. And with this greasy track, quite difficult to get right. You can see him struggling a little bit through the corners. It's still a banker lap, so no need to push that hard just yet. Then approaching the next corner right here, going to a nice left-hander at this point, taking a little bit of curbs there, but they can be quite slippery in these track conditions. Then slowly approaching, well, a bit of a drift there, going through the corner. He's already pushing quite hard here, Tomasz Buldra, as he approaches the end of the second sector. Let's see, what's it going to be then? He's 57.206 with one of the Haases right there in tow. Well, another bit of a slippery coming out of the corner exit, and then there's just the main straight to go. No DRS here as well, and then we're going to find out what the first time of the night is going to be. No invalidation there just yet. Well done by Tomasz Buldra, a 15.065 to open up with.
Very good. First, good start to qualify, I have to say. Berland, I think it's a Williams. I'm not sure which. No, that was Isaac Leach.
The Alpines, actually, both of them.
It's Balin Alikis who's coming up to the line next. Zalan Bida first. He went quite a bit slow, and Balin Alikis as well. Not putting in the times they wanted, quite far off the pace. I know it is first laps as well, but still not exactly where they wanted to be. We got Daniele Farinelli coming up to the line, bit of a mouthful. And now Lewis Walker coming across the line. He goes P3, still half a second behind the fastest man here in qualifying. Let's see as a few drivers come across the line. Justin Ertz just did. He's quite a lot closer than anyone else. He actually pulls it into a 1 minute 15.2. Looking and waiting for another driver to cross the line to see them come up on the leaderboard. That was Lighty, who's needed a bit of an improvement this season, and that's the improvement he'll be looking for into a 0.2 as well, along with Justin Ertz. Jay Kennedy smashes both his teammate and the fastest time, and that is P1, and that is into the 1 minute 14s, and it's not a 0.9, it's a 0.8, improving his dominance out on these intermediate conditions.
Yep, it looked like his wrist injury has been pretty much reduced to none at the moment. He's fastest in these tricky conditions. With that injury, that would have been really impressive, but it looks like he's definitely back in business and showing everybody that he's still a title contender. Let's see who else is on his way at the moment. Jacob Chesut. I actually asked him for his correct pronunciation of the last name there. 56.6 through the middle sector. According to the game, it's purple, but I'm not sure if that's actually true. Here comes the Sauber then. Looks like he's actually going to come in and hasn't said... No, never mind. He's still going strong there on the main straight. Let's see if he can go any faster. He does go faster, and by quite the margin, actually. 0.4 of a second quicker than Jay Kennedy. And he is showing once again he's ready to take that victory. He had finally got his first podium last week in Belgium, and here he is on provisional pole position.
Very, very strong from the Sauber man. Of course, he missed out on that podium back in Austria, as I remember correctly. You know, he had a lot of pace there, but he just couldn't show it towards the end. People are saying the track is drying, by the way, and it definitely seems like that because there is less rain coming down. So maybe end of qualifying will be interesting because we still have 3 minutes and 50 seconds to go. So there's still, you know, quite a while, especially with such a short lap. Drivers can come out at about 2 minutes left. So even compared to Austria, where you have to wait a while, you know, you get stuck in queues. Around this track, it isn't so difficult to get stuck in a queue. Ivan Sanson-Weir, by the way, went P3. Thomas Bulger went faster as well. He went to a 0.5, so he's gotten very close to Jacob as well. So the track is definitely getting quicker. Jay Kennedy just put in fastest first sector. Not sure whether that's true or not, but still, it is there. And by the way, the Alpines, I just want to point something out. The Alpines are split by 4 thousandths, 5th and 6th.
That is impressive considering the conditions, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I didn't expect to be seeing... they're not the closest, because look at Ryan Jacobs and Mr. Jay Kennedy. 1,000th splitting them. And only 9th, and there goes Lighty, which just goes into P6. We saw Igor as well go P2. He's just 28 thousandths behind Jacob as well. I think with the track drying, and even closer goes Bobo as well. He goes even closer, 6/10 faster than he was on his first run. So there's definitely, drivers are finding a lot of time in their lap. Jay Kennedy, I think he's just finished the lap. He's just gone P6, just behind his teammate by 3 thousandths of a second. We talk about Zalan Bida. We talk about the Alpines being close. The fight for pole here is even closer.
They're no longer close now.
Yeah, no longer, but they might be in a minute. But Bailin Alikis actually goes into the pit, so he doesn't think he wasn't happy with his lap, obviously there. But still, a massive lap time from Zalan Bida there. But you can see how close this is. Look at this 4,000 splitting third and fourth, 3,000 splitting sixth and seventh, and then just 200s behind is the Red Bull of Daniele Farinelli. When you're looking around the track, you kind of see that a lot of drivers are actually incredibly close.
Yeah, it's quite incredible with all the rain pouring down. One man, once again, the back of the grid is Fantamashi. Still not his season. He's the only driver to have put in 3 DNFs out of all races he started. So I'm hoping you'll find some more pace. But right now, 1.3 seconds behind the provisional pole time. Just ahead of him, Lewis Walker, who gave up his full-time seat and has joined now as a reserve. Therefore, is in the Williams car as we speak right here, going through the left-hander right there. I've really got to pull up the track map to see the corner numbers, by the way. So let's see how quick he can go. He's still a little bit on the back foot. He's about 3/10 behind the next car. So it's a little bit out of character for him. Maybe he's not really at home in these conditions. But there we go. A second quicker through the middle sector almost. So that's definitely going to be a lot more promising. So he must have made a mistake previously. It's going to be awfully close to provisional pole position. Can he go to the top of the board? Lewis Walker in the Williams across the line. It's going to be a 1 minute 14.579. It's P6 for the time being, but it's a lot better than P18.
Also, Jacobs just started another run. The rain isn't getting less now, by the way. It isn't drying as much. There's a bit of a dry line appearing. But the rain is, I think, still heavy enough that there isn't a huge dry line appearing. The track still looks pretty wet. In some places it's raining slightly heavier than it was a few minutes ago. So, maybe we had a small bit of time because it looks like it is getting heavier, by the way. It does look like that. But I think we might have had possibly a few moments of just dry weather before then we did get hit by more rain, where it got a little bit drier, less rain, and the times were coming down. But I think the rain's getting a little bit more, especially we saw at the end of, beginning of Sector 2, end of Sector 1, the rain was there. And you can see again here in Sector 2 at the end of it, again, the rain's getting a bit heavy round here. So maybe, just maybe, these times could be quite difficult to beat. But let's see what Jacob's going to do as he finishes off his second sector. He's still up 4/10 of a second. So obviously he's saying no to wet conditions. He's saying no to being slower. And he's finding a huge amount of time that could send him into a 1 minute 13, by the way. That is what this man is looking at as he comes up to the line. What is he going to do? He is going to do a 1 minute 13. It's a 13.8, up almost 6/10 of a second. And that is one massive lap time to come from the Sauber.
Yep, once again back on top and by more than half a second indeed. Zalan Bida has got a job ahead of him, but I'm watching Igor Pajazecki, who is quite up there. He's really enjoying these conditions. So far, he's finished in P5, P6 with the fastest lap, and then in 11th place as well. That's actually 9th, 10th, and 11th, I should say. It's not the points, it's the positions. So he definitely wants to get something better right here, and it looks like he is quite at home here in the rain, as Ivan Santamaria goes quickest overall, and he beats Jacob's time by almost 2/10 of a second. Back to the Ferrari, though, as he approaches turn 9 right here, overtakes one of the Saubers right there. I believe that might have been Patrick Pillish, who was a little bit ahead of his teammate. Through turn 10, and let's see what he's going to be doing at the end of the second sector. That's the most important thing. Will he be anywhere close to provisional pole? He's half a second quicker already. It's definitely going to be a 1 minute 13, 1.13.9, maybe even 0.8. It might not be provisional pole, but it's definitely going to be one big improvement, and it just shows that the track is evolving fast. It's drying up more and more as he comes across the line for a 1 minute 13.812. Pushes himself onto the front row for the time being, but I'm sure that many other drivers are going to improve quickly as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Jacob, well, he went, Justin Ertz, by the way, just went P5. We said about Jacob having a fast lap. He still, after a few, another minute and a half, 2 minutes, he's down to P4 already. His time
Incredible.
near on 2/10 behind the fastest. We just saw Ryan Jacobs go P7. Lolo Vera was P2 at one point as well. I was going to point that out midway through Igor's lap. But now, down in P8, Isaac Leet as well only goes P9. Look at how close this is. 100th between 10th and 11th. Then a bit further, and Zalan Bida goes P2. And he is just 22 thousandths behind the man of Ivan Santamaria. And let's be honest, Ivan Santamaria needs to really get a good race here. And he needs to, have this qualifying, get this pole position, and then have a really good race, hopefully win it for him, as Jay Kennedy just went P3. But as I was saying, Ivan Santamaria, he really needs that. He really needs to get that victory and to pull himself possibly up into the top 3 in the standings.
Yeah, this is going to be a very close qualifying. I can see many of these drivers claiming provisional pole. I think tonight is all about timing. The driver who goes onto the track at the best possible moment, which I think might be at the very last second, will be the biggest, the driver with the biggest chance of provisional pole position. So it's going to be really exciting. Somebody's asking in the chat, who is Anonymous F1? I believe that is one of the new reserve drivers. Hopefully I said that correctly. He's currently sitting in 19th place.
I've commentated on him before.
Okay.
He does have quite a lot of qualifying pace at the time he did. By what I could see, he's invalidated his last 2 runs, by the way. So that's why he hasn't improved. As Balin Alikis, where is this pace coming from? A 1 minute 13, a perfect 444.444 to set as the lap time here tonight. And that is now a new time to beat. Jay Kennedy just improved as well. He's just slightly behind that as well at the same time. This is like Monopoly at this rate. We don't know who's faster, who's better. We don't know anymore at the moment. Lighty just invalidated. Him very much having the same night as his teammate at the moment, not really finding what he wants. Lucas Baesner needs a big improvement on his lap. Let's see what he can do. I think we're going to see a big improvement from him.
Yes.
And across the line he goes, P3.
There we go.
But he still finds himself near on 2/10 away from provisional pole. So maybe it's set up. Maybe drivers are choosing if the race is going to be half wet, half dry. Maybe drivers are choosing which one. Maybe drivers are choosing sort of which strategy they want to go for, which side they want to be fast. But we're going to have to see when it gets to the race, because we don't know what the weather's going to be like. Yeah, we're definitely seeing sort of Balin. We're seeing the sort of Ivan Santamaria, Jay Kennedy, and sort of the Alpines definitely being those guys up there. With really the only one outside of in the top 5 that is a bit out of sync at the moment is the man of Lucas Baesner, who's very out of sync with the rest of the drivers because he's pretty much the latest driver to finish a lap every time. By the way, both times he's been the last driver to cross the line. I don't think he's going to have time. I think he's going to have to go for another lap now. We've got Jay Kennedy, who's starting his lap. Who's closest to the finish? That's actually Ivan Santamaria.
Jacob as well. Oh, never mind. He's on a slow lap at the moment.
Yes, so is it Lolo Vera? I think it's Lolo Vera, actually. It is Lolo Vera. He's the closest to finishing a lap. He's got to put it in for Aston Martin. He looked fast at the beginning of qualifying. He was up there. He kept on getting sort of top 6, top sort of 8. And he's really dropped down since, struggling to get in his last run. And he's struggling to get in this run because he goes really wide.
You said it.
Loses the rear. Sort of a bit of summing up how his qualifying's been slightly here tonight so far. Across the line, he's not going to improve. I think we all know that. I think he might be done for a session. He might be going again. But we've got to look to his teammate, Ivan Santamaria, who goes even faster. And once again, we see another double-digit number of a 0.277, finding even more time, a 10th and a half faster. Jay Kennedy, he's done. He doesn't think he's got it. And that is his session over and finished. I'm waiting to see who's actually on
Lucas
a lap.
Beisner, nearly 3/10 up through the middle sector. Looks like he might just take away the provisional pole position from Ivan Santamaria for the time being, that is. There's still 40 seconds on the clock. Several drivers still on their out laps. Let's see what Lucas Beisner is going to do. In 1 minute 13.3. Oh, he just misses out in the final part of the track. He just stands below 1/10 of a second to provisional pole, but it is the front row for the time being. Zalan Bieder has got an invalidated lap time as Jacob Jitsut goes
faster.
quickest overall. Wow, that is 1.5 tenths faster than anybody else, but there's still several drivers on their way to potentially snatch that position away. Let's see who's closest to finishing a lap. I see one of the Ferraris approaching the final part there. It's Igor Pajazecki. Half a second quicker through the middle sector. I don't think it's going to be good enough, but how close is he going to be? It is third position, and there's the checkered flag. Jay Kennedy's the first one to get it as he's in the pit lane. Let's see who else is going to put in the lap time. Lolo Vera, oh, he didn't improve again, stays 13th fastest, a bit of a disappointment. Daniel Ferranelli, no, it's the other Red Bull, Tomasz Buldra across the line. He goes 7th fastest. For his first outing here in Tier 3, Lighty goes up to P6. Then we have Ryan Jacobs across the line going up to P5. Then there's one of the Williams cars, might be Isaac Leet. He does indeed go 6th fastest. One of the Haas cars, it's anonymous. No, it actually is anonymous. Goes 11th now, 12th fastest. Justin Arts goes up to 2nd place. Still can't take away provisional pole position. Lucas Beisner gives up in the pit lane. Is there anybody who can snatch it away? Balint Ilikis perhaps. I think he's the last driver to be able to do it. As he goes across the line, he does do it! He does, and Lewis Walker as well. Both of them pip Jake and Cheshut to the line there for pole position, with Balint being the better out of the two. 1 and 2 go Balint Ilikis and Lewis Walker for their respective teams of Alpine and Williams. What a qualifying finale right there. Iker Pajazecki no longer in his way, and that means qualifying is officially at an end.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, holy, the last second. Jacob, of course, might be feeling a little bit of heartbreak there, but we saw Boba and Zalan Bieder and Yeli Farinelli and Justin Erton not being able to beat his time, and then in the last second, literally the last two cars to cross the line, they ultimately both beat him in the end, Balint Ilikis and Lewis Walker, right at the last second. But Alpine on pole. Interesting to see, quite spread, but let's go down the grid order. Balint Ilikis is on pole position, followed by Lewis Walker. Jacob in 3rd, with Boba in 4th, with Zalan Bieder in 5th, Daniele Farinelli in 6th, Justin Ertz 7th, Ivan Sansbury 8th, Igor in 9th, Lucas Beisner in 10th. Ryan Jacobs is 11th, with Isaac Leet in 12th, Lighty in the 13th, Jay Kennedy 14th, Thomas Buldra in 15th, Patrick in 16th, Anonymous 17th, Lolo Vera 18th, It's Fantasy 19th, and Jean in ultimately last position and last place. What happened to my brain's just gone dead for a second. Well,
Jans Verdillik was 1 minute 15, was quite far behind the rest of the pack, so
Tomas
I think
Kokkinen,
he might have invalidated too many laps.
Tomas Kokkinen, that's who I was thinking of. He's really struggled in qualifying.
Yep.
This season, all season long, every race, all I can remember, like race-wise, Austria wasn't a terrible one from him, actually. He had a rather good race behind him. But the difficulty is constantly starting 19th, 18th, round those positions, or even last, is that you just make your race so much harder, and you don't know where you're going to end up. And we're going already. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And to start here.
It's a reset, yes.
It's going to be a lovely restart, but I appreciate your enthusiasm all the same.
Me getting excited over this, but we're going to watch the carnage. We're going to watch the carnage. And Balint Ilikis gets away.
Several drivers just disappear from the mini-map.
Has he forgotten that moment? I think he might have.
No, he just decided to turn around. Decide, I've forgotten something at the start line. I need to go back.
Yeah. My apologies. Even I thought we were going to get racing.
No worries. Would have been a record, by the way, starting that quick after qualifying would be over.
Straight into the action, but
yeah.
Ultimately, quick restart though. We won't be too long. I'll take us back to the pre-race screen. We'll go back to the commentators box while we wait for these guys to restart the lobby. It will take literally, hopefully, the next about minute for us to do that. So it won't be too long. Make sure to stick around for that. But that qualifying, holy, no words for the qualifying. But as I was going to say, Tomas Kokkinen, starting so far back every time, I get the point of that he's got great race pace, but he's struggling so much in qualifying. But the problem
you're actually talking about, just sorry to interrupt, but it's Istvan Tamashi you're talking about.
I might be. I'm so lost.
I think you meant Istvan Tamashi. No worries.
Too many names. There's too many. I've just got a list of names. I've got it on my phone and I've got a list and I'm just reading. Ultimately,
But you're absolutely right, by the way.
Yeah.
He's it's such a struggle for him, qualifying and then the race, 3 DNFs out of 3 race starts. So it's a nightmare so far. He's still equal on point with Liam Bowman, his teammate, but he's not raced last week. And he also DNF'd the races he started in, so McLaren in general is having a bad season. So let's hope they can start to improve tonight. But from 19th on Brazil with DRS trains might be a challenge.
Yeah, it definitely will be. Especially with me forgetting drivers' names. This rate, it's gonna be they cross the line and me just saying a random name. One man who did impress me, I have to say, very much impressed me, was Boba. Out of the blue, I know he's a fast driver. I've seen him drive before, but he looked like he was sort of sitting, 10th, 11th for most of qualifying, and then his last run was just enough to get him P4, I think it was, or P5.
Yeah, somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah, to leave that till the last second as well is incredibly important. But again, it's the same problem for so many of these drivers. They're all having the same problem. Is that, if some drivers, of course, are stronger in qualifying than they are in the race. We see that, for instance, with the driver we were talking about. It's Van Tomasi, to make it clear. But ultimately, we see that we've seen that with other drivers. We've seen that with Justin Ertz, I think, once this season. We've seen him have a bit of a rough qualifying, but then pull it back. We've seen it with so many drivers, I think, this season, that we've had so many more drivers that are stronger in the race than they are in qualifying, which of course is great. But there's 2 drivers in this grid bit today who I have noticeably realised that they are, based off of standings, they do struggle. Lighty, he's struggled in races. He's really struggled when it comes down to the races. And the other driver, which upsets me to say, and does make me quite sad, is the man. I'm trying to find him now. Is actually up here, Lewis Walker. Absolutely, it's difficult. That you have that. They're in such a race strong grid versus versus the rest of the grid. When they're strong in qualifying versus drivers who are so strong in the race. It's really difficult. I have that with qualifying. I find myself all the time. Good evening, George Morgan. I've just seen that in the chat. Good evening to you. Good evening to everybody. Just to remind you, we do know you're still there. We're not forgetting you. Yeah, so really those 2 drivers might find themselves having a struggle. But like you said, DRS trains are going to be sort of a bit of a saving game for, some of these drivers who are better in qualifying. And I think that's going to be something that is definitely going to be interesting to see during the race. But on the side of DRS trains and strategy and all of that, let's have a talk about that, because we would usually talk about it at this point, before the race start, but we might as well talk about it now while we're waiting. Strategy, tire strategy. What are you feeling here for tonight?
More of the usual, I think. Hard medium or medium hard, with the former strategy usually working out best. 2-stop?
Yeah, we do see a 2-stop every so often. For instance,
that would be interesting.
Yeah, I think I have seen. I think I saw it last season or the season before, where it was a medium soft, which I've seen, or hard soft. That's what That's what my that's what my telemetry is telling me is a good idea. But I'm
Okay,
hoping it is.
well.
But I'm hoping it is a good one. But if it isn't, then I might need to change something. Ultimately, I think Brazil does give you the open choice of strategy. It's very open because it is quite high tire wear. To be fair,
Very true.
Of course, this is the first time we're coming to Brazil on this year's game, so we're not 100% sure. But from experience, it's high tire wear, high tire temperatures, and I think that is something that could definitely be on the cards. Is the difficulty with the? But again, also that does make me question like the mediums. One thing I've always noticed with the mediums around this track is they do struggle a bit. They overheat a bit, which means you lose grip, you lose turning, and it's overall just a real struggle when they overheat, especially on this year's game. But at the same time, they also don't have a huge amount of grip. But I mean, it's the same problem for the softs. But I do agree with you. I think we will probably see more of the usual, medium to hards or hard to mediums, especially because of the hards around this track. Although they don't have a lot of grip, they do have a lot, and I mean a lot more. They keep under temperature a lot more easily, and you can push them a lot harder than you can the mediums or the softs, and they last a lot longer. But
Exactly,
then,
it's the lifespan that counts.
Yeah, but even lasting a lot longer, they don't last long around this track at that point. Because I believe, if I stand correct, they only last between 15 to 18 laps around this track. So they only last about half the race. So this is where I've got a bit of thinking going on, a bit of strategy going on. Maybe a two-stop could be useful there because the mediums are only lasting about 12 to 15 laps, so they're still coming out a little bit short.
Potentially a hard medium stop, but it really depends on the weather as well, because the weather has once again been reset to dynamic after this lobby restart, which is currently readying up, by the way. We're about to get going, and then we'll find out whether our tire strategy predictions are going to be having any merit, or whether or not we can throw them out of the window because we might have rain again, as we had in qualifying with the intermediates. And that would definitely spice up the race even more. And another big question we might ask ourselves is the safety car, or even the virtual safety car, going to make an appearance in Tier 3 this season for the first time in this round?
Hopefully not. But at the same time, usually it means something interesting's happened. So, I mean, it depends on your perspective of it. Drivers won't want it, but
how much drama do you like?
Yeah. Do you want drama for the drivers or for us? So we're getting into the lobby now. I think the important thing here is for Balin Alikis to get a good getaway from the grid, of course, starting on pole. He's got to have a really good getaway. Because going down into turn 1, the first 3 corners are always... The first 3 to 4 corners are always so difficult when you see drivers trying to negotiate them. Because remember, there's 20 drivers. Like, a lot of the time during qualifying, they're not close together. And for most of the race, they're not, they're reasonably close together, or they're sort of spread out slightly. But off the race start, they're side by side, and they can even go 3 wide. So, I mean, that's the real conversation going on here is, are they going side by side, or, what's going to happen there with them?
Yeah, we've seen drivers through the most part of the last 3 races just waiting behind each other patiently, making sure they're not in the lead until the last possible moment, and that's when the chaos usually unfolds. It's just not very beneficial to be in first place, other than your tires getting a little bit less punishment. But you will be having a big disadvantage with the slipstream. You will not have slipstream. You will not have DRS. You can use your battery, but you'll burn it, and then you can't defend or attack when you want to re-overtake for the lead. So, yeah, it's going to be anybody's game. And as you said, let's see if Balin Alikis can get away in the dry conditions as well as he did in the wet conditions during the qualifying. Because, wet qualifying always makes several other drivers come out on top than it would be in dry.
And we are going. It is 1, 2, 3, 4 fire lights. And away we go here in Brazil for PC Tier 3 in Season 18 of WOR. And it is a great getaway for Balin Alikis. He's really got on the start, along with Jacob. They both go through Turn 1 and Turn 2. Now 1-2, Alpine and Sauber. Lewis Walker having a bad start. Not exactly what he wanted. Down to P3 he goes. Aaron Sanson having a battle with Justin Ertz further back, actually. I was trying to find a name. But now, looking back, almost 3 wide into turn 4, we're looking. Daniele Farinelli now battling with both Ivan Santamaria and Justin Ertz as they head through turn 4 and turn 5. Now heading up the hill into the fast right-hander, which is more of a double right-hander as they made their way up the hill. A few drivers going a little bit wide, maybe a little bit of contact. We see some moves happening further back. But at the front, the man of Zalambida trying to make the move. There's a yellow flag. That does mean Lewis Walker has to back out there. And that means now Zalambida up to P3, Alpine 1-3. Just as strong as they've looked in the Drivers' Championship as well. And now you can see the chase is on with Jacob stuck between the two pink and blue Alpines, along with Lewis Walker really having a bad start. He was on the front row, now down to P4, and lap 1 isn't even over just yet, but that yellow flag did catch him out. Boba's now going to be the next driver to be chasing down that Williams man. Looking further back though, it's Justin Ertz. He's going to be trying to make the move into turn 1 on the man of Daniele Farinelli. Into turn 1 they go. Little bit of contact. It's hards versus mediums. Through turn 1. Through turn 2. Still side by side now as they head through the long left-hander of turn 3. You can see Igor trying to make a move as well at the same time. Trying to get his front wing in there. Almost going 3 wide. They are 3 wide for just a split moment. But ultimately... Oh! Contact! Contact! Justin Ertz goes off. Igor's through. Justin Ertz down to P9 now. Daniele Farinelli holding on to position. There's a yellow flag for the bad. It's Van Tomasi. He's dropped down to last. And Justin Ertz still battling with now another Ferrari. This time it is Ryan Jacobs as he makes his way around the next corner. And they're still going for it. And this battling is not over.
No, they're going for it every single lap, and Justin Ertz needs to be a little bit more careful. He is the championship leader. His nearest rival, his teammate, in fact, Jay Kennedy, only 2 positions behind him. He is qualifying looked strong, but he only started from 14th position this race. And their other nearest rivals are the guys in the Alpines, who are currently in P1 and P3, with just one of the Saubers in between the both of them. Let's have a little look at those tires, by the way. Most of the drivers have started on the medium tires. As Alan Beater goes for a move, nearly takes out his own teammate there. Alpine nearly went for a 1-2 there, and nearly took each other out of the race. Jacob Jeschut has to relieve himself of 2nd position, and has to give chase now to regain the position. There they go side by side with a yellow flag for Istvan Tamashi. 4 retirements in 4 races. Ryan Jacobs going for a move there. I believe it has worked on Justin Ertz. Up to 9th place he goes, but the top 4 is immensely close together. This battling is incredibly tight. Lewis Walker sitting in 4th. And it looks like FVR with all of their drivers in the top 5. Only Jacob there, right in the middle of all of them. Many more moves happening with Justin Ertz now battling with his own teammate for position. There goes Jay Kennedy up into 10th position on the inside in turn 10. Brilliant move there from the RB driver to overtake his own teammate. They are fighting for the title, so there's no cooperation in between the two guys as they now give chase to one of the Ferraris just ahead in 9th position right there. We're only 3 laps in. Many drivers have overtaken one another. And at the top, it could still be anybody's game. There goes Ivan Santamaria. Let's see if he can turn his mediocre qualifying once again into a great racing position. He's done so in the last 3 races. This time, he started a lot higher than previously. Daniele Farinelli goes alongside Ryan Jacobs, but Ryan Jacobs can try and come back there as he retakes 8th position on the inside in turn 4. Will he keep it? Yes, he does. Isaac Leeds going past Lolo Vera. In other words, a lot of racing going on everywhere on track.
Definitely, but I have to say, even Jay Kennedy trying to make a move now on Daniele Farinelli. Those hard tyres not working out for the Red Bull driver, and everybody with most of the grid on mediums. It's a really bad idea to go for this. Now heading down into the next corner they go. You can see Daniele Farinelli under attack by an RB. It's Red Bull versus RB. Sister team versus big brother team. And now they go into the next corner. But it is ultimately the little sister team of RB who make that move. And up into P9 goes Jay Kennedy and Justin Ertz. Also doing the same thing, following his teammate in the next corner. At the same time, maybe there's some teammate work going on here, and there's a battle up in front. It's Zalambida and Jacob going side by side. They're battling through turn 2. Now into turn 3 they go. The Alpine still in front and heading through turn 3. Still Jacob, still sitting there in the Sauber. Of course, he's going to pick up the DRS as he heads towards turn 4. It's going to get blocked in by the Alpines, though. You can see. But at the same time, Zalambida also got a bit blocked in because he couldn't dive bomb his teammate. So now they're still going side by side. Up the hill they go. Into the double right-hander. Up the hill. Fast speed. High speed. And you can see Zambida has to give up position, and there's a yellow flag further back. There's a couple of drivers going off.
There's chaos in the back. I've been following it a little bit. Tomasz Buldra has been involved in it as well. He's been tumbling down to 17th place right now. Patrick Pillish, Isaac Lead also involved. Anonymous now fighting with Lolo Vera for position. They're still side by side. Despite all the chaos, they're still battling onwards. But a lot of things are happening all at once. We can also see a little bit of a gap starting to form as Boba overtakes Igor Pajazecki coming out of turn 13. It actually is quite impressive to make the move right there. And immediately literally everybody's going on the offenses wherever they can. Ivan Santamaria is trying to make up more positions. Into turn 1 they go. Where is he going to make that move? Is he going to make it work? As Igor Pajazecki tries to defend it with all his might, trying to stick his nose on the inside of the corner. Couldn't make it work. There goes Ivan Santamaria with a battery light flashing, recharging the battery, but wide open. The DRS goes once again. And he's going to try and chase down Boba for 5th position. Wide goes Ryan Jacobs right there behind his teammate as he tries to overtake him right there. It's Jay Kennedy who nearly lost DRS a few laps ago to this group, but he's been reconnected thanks to the intense battles going on pretty much everywhere. It's Balin Talikis from Reka Jetchut, Jalen Beater in 3rd, Lewis Walker 4th, and Boba in P5 on lap 6.
I have to say, look at this. First to 16th are all within DRS of each other. Only 3 drivers don't have DRS of each other, and they're not in a train either. So I have to say, this is the problem that drivers might find, is that they're so close. Because we saw about 2 laps ago, they were starting to spread out a bit. Now heading down towards turn 1 again, it's Alpine. Dangerous move, late move, late defense, side by side. Now goes Jacob in the Sauber. He's trying to make the move on the Alpine. He's gotten one. He wants to get a second one, but he can't. He can't get that list done just yet, but he is going to get DRS. Jacob now leads 3 wide. Down towards turn 4 they go. Who's going to back out first? But it is Lewis Walker who gets 3 in 1, and that is a perfect move from the Williams man.
He's he's made the most of that squabbling going on right there. And now he's leading with the hard tires. And look at that, Ivan Santamaria with Boba there for now 6th position, as Igor Pajazecki has also made up a lot of positions. He was just ahead of his teammate 1 or 2 laps ago and finds himself in 5th place all of a sudden. And let's see, from his starting position, that's 4 positions better than where he started. Ivan Santamaria is still fighting hard there with the McLaren of Boba. We also see Ryan Jacobs and Jay Kennedy side by side. Coming out of turn 12, Jay Kennedy has to slot in behind the Ferrari, but he's incredibly close, and I wouldn't be surprised if he re-overtakes the Ferrari coming into turn 1. Let's see if he can make it stick at the front in the meanwhile. Let's see, Balin Talikis is going to go. No, it's actually Jacob Cheshut's going for the move. Lewis Walker for the lead of the race. Lewis can't defend. His tires aren't grippy enough just yet compared to those mediums. And he has to yield the lead to the Sauber car as he retakes 1st position. Now we see the Alpine cars fighting as well. And Lewis Walker coming back in turn 4 to take the lead once again. It looks like simple switching of positions right there, but it's definitely fighting very, very hard indeed. In the meanwhile, Ivan Santamaria has lost more than he would have liked. He's now down to 9th place all of a sudden, and there's absolute chaos in the midfield with one of the Mercedes cars of Lucas Beisner there getting involved as well, overtaking Daniele Farinelli for positions. There's so much going on. It's really hard to keep track. We also see Igor Pajazecki going for a move on Zalen Beater, is now losing out more and more, finds himself in 5th place all of a sudden. It's where he started actually. Let's see how this battle, the top 5
big contact, Boba getting caught with Lucas Beisner. I've just seen that. A contact on the rear, half spinning, but look at that. They're still going so close to each other. As Lucas Beisner's now making the move, he's made the move, but we got to look back to the front of the grid. Side by side into turn 1 they go again. We've seen this almost every single lap, but Jacob can't get the move done early. He's done the switch back on this lap because he wants to get DRS on this 2nd straight, and he is going to get DRS. He isn't as close as Lewis Walker was last lap, and ultimately he's not going to be close enough when they come to turn 4. And so still, that strategy has not worked out because Lewis Walker was thinking ahead once again, just catching out the drivers behind, and maybe some smart strategy going on at Williams here tonight.
Yep, this will definitely make his tires overheat less when he's in the front of the field. He will definitely go for a longer stint on those tires. Whoa, there's Boba, very aggressive on the inside in turn 9 there on Daniele Farinelli. Jan Svrdilic started from last, finds himself in almost within the points right there. Just has to overtake, or tries to overtake Anonymous for 13th position. Going to be a tricky one to pull it off in turn 12, slots in behind right there. But these fights are not for the points just yet. Lewis Walker, I can see on the minimap, has pulled a little bit of a gap to the rest of the field. It looks like those hard tires are starting to come into their own, which will definitely benefit him right there. So far, the front of the field remains stable in terms of position. We see Lighty going for a pit stop already. Might have gotten some damage to his wing as Jan Svrdilic finally makes his way past Anonymous. They're up into 13th place, chasing down Daniele Farinelli, who in his turn is chasing down Boba for 11th position. Will Boba then have received a little bit of damage from the contact with Beisner as he's losing pace all of a sudden? He was fighting for P5, finds himself out of the points already, and Daniele is gone past.
Disappointing race so far for the McLaren man. He's really struggling in the race. He's chosen those hard tires, same as Daniele Farinelli, same as I believe it is Lewis Walker, you know, as well. But somehow he's just not made these hard tires work. He didn't have a bad start either as well. His start was actually pretty decent. He held on to position at first. But since then, I'm not sure what's happened to him. Maybe his confidence has just gone a bit because he's had a few moments where he's almost had a collision with drivers. And he's also been caught out by drivers using overtake and using their DRS to get past him. As there's a move happening further ahead, Ivan Santamaria trying to make the move on Justin Ertz. And Justin Ertz holds on to P8. He's up to P8 now. There he goes. Igor as well, trying to make the move on Zalan Bida and Ryan Jacobs as well at the same time. Double move for Ferrari. And maybe Alpine getting picked off a little bit. But there is definitely a little bit of battling going on down at Ferrari because you can see Igor and Ryan Jacobs getting a little bit close for comfort.
It's definitely heating up, and Ferrari is on the rise. We haven't seen them in front of the field this far ahead. They're doing quite well. Jay Kennedy making a move on Zalan Bida. Zalan Bida is starting to fall back more and more. He was in the lead at some point. Now he's in 7th place. It's becoming more and more of a struggle. Whoa, Jay Kennedy incredibly aggressive there in turn 10, trying to ram himself past Ryan Jacobs pretty much, but Ryan is having none of it. He nearly loses DRS to his teammate as well. 7/10 in between them. And now he's going to have to defend hard because this gap is definitely going to benefit Jay Kennedy and several cars behind. Let's see if Jay is going to make the move then into turn 1, or maybe even a lot earlier than that. He still has DRS, Ryan Jacobs has. But he's going to have to try and defend. But all the battery lights are flashing, meaning Jay Kennedy's battery is recharging. We see Ivan and Lucas Beisner coming in for their first pit stop of the race. It looks like you might be right, actually, Epic, for the 2-stop strategy, as this is quite early to make the 1-stop work properly. But maybe, you never really know with these drivers what they can do and what they can't do. For the moment, though, the top 3 remaining stable. We see Boba getting back past Daniele Farinelli, now up into 9th, thanks to the pit stops that have happened a few places ahead of him. So he's back within the points, at least for the time being.
There's actually going to be some side-by-side racing out of the pits, by the way. There's side-by-side racing right out of the pits. Here comes the man of Ivan Santamaria. He's gone early to those hard tyres. Now the big question is, will they go the long 24-lap stint that he wants them to, especially if the mediums could only go 12 laps. That's a big question, isn't it, here tonight? If they can only go 12 laps, can he... Well, 11 full laps, by the way, just 11 laps. Can these hards go 24 or 25 officially? And in my opinion, there's a bit of me going... I don't think they will, as Ryan Jacobs now comes into the pits. He's feeling like the mediums are done. I do have to say, personal bests aren't coming in from anybody, by the way, at the moment. There are 0 personal bests actually going on track. Nobody is actually really finding time. So obviously the mediums are now struggling. I mean, look at that, Lewis Walker, 3.5 tenths down in the first sector alone. Nobody's actually really improving. But Lewis Walker, of course, on that alternative strategy... And maybe the hards are now coming in a bit better, as we've seen. The first 5-6 laps of the race was a real struggle for all of the hard runners. And all of a sudden, probably the hard tyres, I would say at the moment, could be either level to maybe slightly faster than the mediums.
Yeah, we saw it earlier as Lewis Walker was almost pulling away from the rest of the field. But thanks to DRS, of course, they could stay quite close enough to make sure he just couldn't escape at all. But right now, almost everybody in the mediums decide to come in for those hard tires. And let's see if the undercut is going to work. Ryan Jacobs, especially, we're going to have to keep an eye out at him because there's more cars coming in. Balint Alekis and Igor Piasecki. Let's compare those drivers to Ryan Jacobs and where he's going to come out compared to these guys. I think we saw a change for the lead with Jacob Jetschut back into first position on the old medium tires, with Lewis Walker trying to claw back at him. Coming up to turn 4. Is he going to make a move right there? No, I think he's going to stay behind and not waste any more battery. But now, watching at the pit lane exit, it is Balint Alekis, it's Igor Piasecki coming out, and there at the other side of the road, it's Ryan Jacobs, now trying to get past the both of them. He's overtaken his teammate, but I think he has to slot in behind Balint Alekis. I believe he was behind him before he went in as well, so that means the undercut hasn't worked as much as he would have liked, as they came in one lap later. He's only been able to make up a few tenths of a second. So, all in all, the undercut with 1 lap difference, not all too powerful yet.
I do agree with you there. I think that this is what I've said about Brazil. The undercut and overcut don't really work around this track. The undercut works if, for instance, as we can see, 3 more drivers coming into the pits. Jacob, Zalan Bida, and Justin Ertz all coming in. Jay Kennedy, by the way.
Oh, wow, he went for a
lunge.
lunge.
Make the move, and he sent it down the inside into turn 1, and now he's finally taken the lead of this race. He needs it. He needs those 25 points to come his way. But as I was going to say, around this track, you've got to have a sort of 5-6 lap difference to really see, you've got to come in, maybe 2-3 laps earlier to really see that. Isaac Leet, 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. He's ultimately retired from the race. Second driver.
Well, here's the thing. Watch Jacob, by the way. Just a quick interruption here. Jacob hasn't been able to make, to lose a little less time because he's now suddenly behind Balint, Ryan, and Igor. So 2 laps of a difference is apparently a whole lot more because now he finds himself in the middle of the train. Not something he would have liked. It does explain why he suddenly decided to come in very quickly. But now he's no longer in the technical lead of the race. That would actually go to Balint Alekis.
At the moment, I think that's exactly what he wants. Of course, this was the man who took pole. So that's exactly what he'll be wanting. Jay Kennedy and Jan both coming in now. I should say, it's surprising, only 1.3 seconds, by the way. It's about 2-3 seconds are splitting them at the moment. And we were talking sort of 5-6 positions there. Lewis Walker and Boba still going. Yellow flag. That is for the Williams. Yes, it is. It's Lewis Walker.
Yeah, right. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Off the track to retire. Jay Kennedy's going to drop down. He's going to drop down pretty far. He's dropping down really far, actually. He's not even going to come out in front of Zalan Bida, and he might be gotten by Ivan Santamaria as well. And into turn 4 he goes. He's not gotten. Bit of contact there, a lot of wobbling from Ivan Santamaria. Hasn't worked for Justin Ertz either, because he's 14th, so he's lost out places too. Jay Kennedy, though, you can see, there goes Justin Ertz, not wanting to wait behind the Mercedes of Lucas Beisner, and there he goes into P13 now. That's an improvement in position. But as I was saying, Zalan Bida as well, making the move on Lighty for P9. But Jay Kennedy proving that 3 laps can lose you about 5-6 places. And here comes again Ivan Santamaria. Holy. This man he's very angry.
Well, I think it's not surprising that he's angry because, he was on provisional pole in qualifying for a while. He suddenly fell down to 8th place. Now he has to defend against Justin Arts once again as they go into turn 1. Ivan is having absolutely none of it. And he tries to defend his position with all the bits of his car that he can while keeping it intact. So very nice, strong and clean racing. And there comes Lucas Beisner trying to take a little bit of the spoils as well, but he's stuck behind both cars. He can't go anywhere, but he still tries to go around the outside of the car pretty much. And does he make it work? Is that an illegal overtake? Apparently not, because he's still ahead, yet he's still having to concede the position to Ivan Santamaria.
Please, move your eyes to the lead. Because Licky's has just been double overtaken by the Ferraris. And the Ferraris also went side by side when they went up the hill, almost having contact between the two of them. maybe the teammate games are being thrown out the window now.
Yeah, definitely.
I
mean,
but
they've been at it all the time. So there we are. Ryan Jacobs in the lead right there. Iker Pajazecki, and they're all chasing down the cars. Oh dear, there's a yellow flag. That's one of the Haas cars. That's I think no, it's anonymous. He's spun out. Coming out of the battle, and there goes Iker Pajazecki fighting with Balin Telekis, and there are several cars. They're fighting for position. They nearly take one another out. Jacob and Jay and Zalan and Balin. It nearly turned into a horrible accident, and it does turn into a horrible accident in between both Aston Martin drivers and a Red Bull on top of an Aston Martin. And there is your first virtual safety car after a hugely major incident happening in the background. The Red Bull just went on top of the Aston Martin. I'm not sure if you saw that, Epic, but that was absolutely insane.
I saw that in the background.
Yeah, exactly.
I was watching Jay Kennedy, and I just saw that in the background.
Yep.
What even happened?
I'm not sure, but it started with...
We saw 3 wide.
Yeah.
The 2 Alpines, and I think it was...
Jacob as well?
Yeah, I think it was
That was
Jacob,
a very short VSC there.
And then they went... How was that a virtual? I'm so lost.
It should have been a full one.
And then we saw 4 wide. We saw Jay Kennedy go for it round the outside. He went off track. He came back. I don't know. What just happened?
It was absolutely mental what happened there. I can't help but notice that since the F1 World cars are gone, the FVR drivers especially have decided that this is now an individual championship instead of a team battle. And they're all fighting one another right. Like, look at this, for example. Jay Kennedy and Balin Telekis nearly tangling wheels right there coming out of turns 2 and 3. And now Jay Kennedy has gone ahead of the Alpine, and right behind his teammate, there's Lucas Beisner still trying to take the spoils from all of these drivers. And this time he goes on the inside and makes it work. The Ferraris are now having a comfortable lead thanks to the incidents. They're now leading technically 1 and 2. That's quite the surprise this season. We haven't seen any other driver than an FER driver leading so far, but there you go. It is happening tonight with Ferrari especially. And Jacob ahead of the rest of the pack in 3rd place because Lewis and Boa still have to come in. And they're going very, very long indeed.
I have no words for that incident.
It was wild, wasn't it?
I think that's the biggest crash I've ever seen in this tier. I will be honest, that's the biggest crash I've ever seen.
The biggest crash with the least damage. Neither of the cars, or none of the cars are out.
Well. I expected a safety car from that.
Yeah.
Zalan Bida making his move on Jacob, this time a little bit more successfully than last. Still Boba and Lewis Walker, they're both on hard tyres. They've been on them since the beginning. Ryan Jacobs has just made the move, by the way, for P3. There's a Red Bull in the way. That's Thomas Baldra. Daniele Farinelli making the move. Justin Ertz now making the move on Jacob. I think maybe Jacob's being a little bit safer now when he's getting overtaken. But I did see Jacob did get squeezed. He was in the middle of that. So I guess it will probably come down to the stewards on whose fault was it that caused the whole incident. Because we saw, of course, Jay Kennedy. Jay Kennedy talking about a move through turn 1 and turn 2. We're seeing it again. Him almost. This is what, the 2nd or 3rd time this race we've seen Jay Kennedy try and send it in that corner and almost do a bit of a Lewis Hamilton.
It's a signature move for him this race. I also can't help but notice that the Red Bull's absolutely refusing to move out of the way for a whole lap, causing Zalan Bida to get back into DRS range. Now finally he's moved out of the way.
3 wide into turn 1 for P9. I'm sorry for interrupting there, but it was 3 wide for a moment. Jan, Lucas Bazen, and Balin Alikis all fighting. We saw Daniele Farinelli almost getting caught out by having to slow down. And now, heading round down towards turn 4, Benedictis, he's really in the walls right now.
It's quite wild what's going on right there. He's in 11th place. Anonymous retires in the pit lane. Surprisingly, nobody has retired on the track itself thanks to the big incident. The Aston Martins are still in one piece because they're still driving around. Thomas had to pit because he went on top one of those Aston Martins. And he's now chasing down the lead to unlap himself. But the leaders are probably very annoyed with the Red Bull. And now it's Zalan Bida getting annoyed with the Red Bull because he's now trying to get past him to go and chase down those Ferrari leaders. as we are well past the halfway point in this race. There's still some very close battles going on. The Red Bulls now moving out of the way, going into the pit lane, probably retiring, and finally the top two have come in for fresh medium tires, but they'll have to cover a huge gap to try and have any chance of winning this race, because everybody's overtaking them right there. We see, I believe, there's a lot more fighting going on in the midfield. It's Lucas Beisner, Daniele Farinelli, and Balint Alekis, and the two cars out of the pit lane fighting for position. 5 cars all of a sudden fighting for P8 at the moment. Lewis Walker immediately tries to get past Balint Alekis, does so successfully. Balint from pole, now down in 11th place. It's quite astonishing how much downhill his race has gone over the last few laps. Absolutely wild, and he has to get a miracle right there to get back in any shot of winning the race. So far, it's these drivers are almost literally all over the place in terms of positions, in terms of being on top of one another. It's quite wild.
It is. We got a little question in chat from the man of Harlem Marquise. He wants to know, is that you, Frostbreath?
Yes, it's me. Hi, Harlem. It's been a while.
Yeah, the biggest question of tonight. Now heading down towards turn 1, Igor retakes the lead, but Zalan Bida, he's feeling a little bit racy here now, isn't he? We've seen him a lot of tonight, just very much waiting, getting more overtaken than he's been overtaking. But he's sitting in P3, on for a podium, so at least one Alpine still on for a good day. One driver I'm surprised by is that Ben Alikis has been jumped by both Lewis Walker and Boba, by the way. And he's actually really struggling. He's P12 now.
It was very close, but yeah.
This
Uh-oh.
is... Oh. Jan is
There
off.
goes Jan Sverdilik.
He almost did a Charles Leclerc for a minute into the wall. But he saved it before the wall. So, a little bit of a save there. But now, again, the gap's starting to build a little bit as Lewis Walker... He's going for it on the man of Jay Kennedy. Jay Kennedy's has a little bit of rage here tonight, I do believe. He's been a very angry driver, I have to say. A little bit of road rage coming from Jay Kennedy. I think he's also got a penalty, remember. So I think that's also the urgency for Lewis Walker is to get past him because of that time penalty. And you could see, I believe that was Jacob going a little bit slowly along with the drivers in front. But as it stands, I do think Lewis Walker might be having the best chance at winning this race. And here he goes down towards turn 4. He's going on it on Jay Kennedy. Down the inside. Contact between the two leaves Lewis Walker drifting behind. Not only literally drifting, and drifting behind the man of Jay Kennedy. Was that a possible move? Was that a bit too aggressive? Or was it purely just not enough of a defense? Daniele Farinelli, by the way, I just want to say, was going inside of Lewis Walker for a second.
Jay Kennedy.
Oh, big move.
He's just gone for a move.
Favorite corner. His favorite corner, as it seems. I do think that was a mistake, though, from Jacob. I think that was more of a mistake than it was an actual full-on move. But Lewis Walker now, he's got a little bit more ground to gain. But maybe he's got to be a little bit more careful when he goes against Jay Kennedy next time, because Jay Kennedy has definitely had some road rage. But I think Jacob might be having some road rage now because he wants to get back past the RB. Into turn 1, he goes dive bombing down inside. Contact between the two. Going all the way deep. Oh, please don't have another collision. Wheel locking. Literally going on here. They're still going at it. 3 wide. They're being pushed. They're being pushed towards turn 4. Nobody wants to back
Lewis
out.
Walker coming out best.
But Lewis Walker, he's done it again. Lewis Walker, he's done it again. For a second time, he's made 2 or 3 moves. Holy, Jay Kennedy, by the way, he's down to P9.
Yeah, these drivers are going everywhere in terms of positions. And I said before that Lewis Walker had quite a lot of ground to cover, but I stand corrected. He is within a stone's throw of the lead of the race. He's in P5 and on very fresh medium tires with 11 laps to go. It's going to be a very good race for him if he can overtake all of these and stay behind second or third for a while and then overtake them all by the end of the race. But I think I see Daniele Farinelli now going for a move on the Sauber as well. There's Boba still very close to that party. He's definitely regained some of his race pace as he goes for a move on Daniele Farinelli. There he goes. up into 7th place, and nearly actually does go into 6th place, almost tapping the Sauber out of the way right there, but he does go up into P6 on those fresh mediums, chasing down Lewis Walker, who went to the pit lane at the same time. Jan Svedilic spinning out again, this time in turn 2. Another yellow flag then, out on track, but still no safety car. We see Ryan
Battling
Jacobs
for
and
P2.
Alan Beater fighting for a position. It's going to be incredibly tight on the inside in turn 6. That is going to be a brave move, but he decides to back out, and wisely so. And there comes Lewis Walker around the outside in turn 8. Can he make it stick? He almost can. He actually nearly does it. Justin Arts is now on the inside on those old hard tires, and Lewis Walker is gone past, and he also goes past Alan Beater up into 3rd place, and now he's the next car behind the Ferraris. Whoa, nearly contact there as he nearly lost the car as he goes into turn 12. It's quite insane, but Lewis Walker is on a roll. He gave up his full-time seat, but he's definitely still in a winning mood. All the same.
Yeah. I have no words for this racing. 10 laps remaining, by the way. Just 10 laps. Boba making a double move at the same time as well. And there he goes. Up into P4 goes the McLaren man. And now, the Ferraris were the ones hunting for a 1-2. They're now the ones being hunted by a Williams and a McLaren right now. And here comes Lewis Walker around the outside of turn 4. We haven't seen it work here tonight. But he's still holding it. He's still holding it. Through turn 5, up towards turn 6 and 7 now. As they go through, Lewis Walker goes P2. Big mistake, by the way, from Igor. He went really deep, and there goes Lewis Walker again.
He also goes
Into the next corner he goes. And Lewis Walker returns to the lead here tonight. He did it once. He's done it twice. He's made about 400 overtakes in one single straight. But he's made it work. And that is the lead once again. And he is pulling away.
Wow,
like
yeah,
a
look at the
man
speed.
on a mission.
It's absolutely wild. Let's see if Boba can do the same. He's now the next car behind both Ferraris. The Ferrari 1-2 has now been properly spoiled by a Williams ahead in the lead with the battery light flashing, charging as much as he can with the Ferraris giving chase. Looks like Boba's not yet close enough. Daniele Farinelli might be. No, he's not actually that close as I was thinking he was. But this time, Boba needs to get a good run out of turns 2 and 3 to make the first Ferrari, to get past the first Ferrari, actually. It's getting closer and closer, but I'm afraid it's a little bit too far away for him to really go for it. Can he do it then at the same place as Lewis Walker did, which is at every other corner than the corners where you can actually overtake normally, with Jacob Jetschut going for another move there, back into 8th place. He's still fighting with Jay Kennedy. It's the angry men still together here, and it's Lucas Beisner and Balint Alecki is just sitting happily behind, waiting for some things to happen and snatch those positions from them. If that actually happens, there goes Boba nearly for a move on Iker Pajazecki, who's now nearly going side by side with his own teammate of all people. Ryan Jacobs and Iker on 14 and 15 lap old hard tires right there versus 6 lap old mediums. That's quite a major difference. And Lewis Walker has managed to get himself out of DRS and is now very much dominantly in the lead of this race. There goes the Ferraris. Iger passed. There goes Boba through the middle of both Ferraris in turn 1 and takes the 2nd place. Now Iger down to 3rd position, and those who started on the hards are coming out best, at least for now.
Yeah, they are, and I mean, tyre-wise, look at the difference. 4 drivers on mediums. We've got Jan on 12 lap olds. We've got some Ferrari battling. It's actually Justin Ertz who's trying to make a move now. It's taken him a while to reach up to this point, but he's now fighting with Man Jacob. Gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Now heading round up the hill, and it's another mistake from Ryan Jacobs. No! Contact! Salabida! He not only kills his own race, but Daniele Farinelli's at the same time. Now, that leaves both of them fighting over P10. And what just happened? What is this with the pile-ups and collisions we are seeing here tonight?
Yeah, RB and RN and Alpine have been so dominant in the first 3 races. And now, well, RB is coming off best in 4th and 6th, but it's still not way up to their own standards they had in the last 3 races of the season. It's not going well for Alpine either. We see some new drivers in the lead. Lewis Walker there, still in 1st position. It's going everywhere, as I said many a times right now. Balint Alecki is getting very close in the meanwhile to Lucas Beisner, trying to go for the move and salvage the tiniest bit of his race. There goes Justin Aerts then, past Piger Iazechki, up into the final podium place, and it's once again an FVR 1-2-3 with Iger being shown the door to 4th position.
By the way, Justin Aerts set to now lead the Drivers' Championship. By the way.
He was already, and he's now extended.
Yeah, extend. Is he leading, or is it Jay Kennedy?
Yes. He took it from Jay Kennedy last week after Jay wasn't able to race to his wrist.
He's just being a week behind. Dan now retires. Ultimately, but Justin Aerts extending his championship lead even further. I mean, he has, compared to where he qualified and compared to his teammate, he has driven. I mean, we've got to say, we haven't spoken about him a lot, but he has really driven a race that I think many would consider as very good. As Boba now makes his way up into the lead of the race. And I think for the final 5 laps of this race, I think we're going to be seeing these two have a lot more battles like this. We're almost getting a bit of a Lando Norris, George Russell battle going on here. Returning to maybe Sochi, I believe it was 2020 or 2020 or 2021 where they were all battling over these positions. But we're in Brazil instead. But still, ultimately, Boba in the lead now. Lewis Walker, P2. But as I was saying, Justin Aerts, you have to give this guy a medal for what he's done. He hasn't gone with anything special with strategy. He's just used pure timing and racecraft to make his way up the grid. And really, the Ferraris, I feel like there's maybe a bit of a mistake from the Ferraris. Maybe they got a little bit too comfortable. I suspect they might have gotten a little bit too comfortable in their position because they were pulling away. Remember, when they got in the lead, they were starting to pull away. But
they were, yeah.
But then
there was a Red Bull in the way as well. Don't forget that.
I do feel slightly like they relaxed a little bit when it was 1-2, and they might have forgotten a little bit about Lewis Walker and Boba, and then an absolute on the charge Justin Aerts.
Yeah, it's quite incredible. Justin Aerts in 3rd position. I don't think he'll be able to catch up to the lead. Boba and Lewis Walker are towing one another along right now on the back straight. So he's going to have to keep both Ferraris behind. I think the Ferraris are going to have to work together perfectly now to try and deny FER another 1-2-3 right here. And just in some points that he needs for the championship lead, Iger and Ryan are very eager to get on the final podium place, with Zallenbieder now getting a 3-second time penalty to his name. His race has gone from bad to even worse right now. 4 drivers now with a time penalty. Jacob, Jay, Zallen and Lighty right there. Lighty just outside of the top 10, right behind Zallenbieder. 3.5 seconds. Jay Kennedy nearly pushing Jacob Jeschut through turn 10 right there. He still would like to get past, but these two will have to realize there's still 2 cars behind them trying to take positions away from them too.
Yeah, and by the way, with those 2 penalties, it allows Lucas Bison to finish P6.
Exactly.
And Ben and Lickies to finish P7. So in the end, Ben and Lickies are still walking away with another 6 points. And it is another 6 point. It's another few points closer, because I think Jay Kennedy will finish P9 as it stands, but if he finishes in 7th, he'll finish he'll finish P9, my bad. He will finish P9. But that will still mean he's going to get, his main rival, Ben Alicki's, is going to get a lot closer to Lucas Beisner, by the way, making it 3 wide with Ben Alicki's, but he's going to push his way past Jacob, as Jacob has really been struggling in the last lap or 2. He's really struggled to keep up. He was keeping up. Now he isn't. And now there goes the Mercedes up into P7 and on for some big points.
Oh, there they go. That was inevitable. We saw it happen there on camera. Jacob tapped Lucas' rear, and then there was Jay tapping Jacob's rear, and Jacob got to become the victim out of that incident there. Jay, in the meanwhile, has managed to get past the Mercedes somehow, despite the incident. Looks like his car is still in one piece. But Jacob's race has just gone from bad to much, much worse. He's still within the points, but not at all where he would like to be, as Lewis Walker and Boba are switching positions once again. With only 3 laps remaining, the gloss will have to come off at some point between these 2 drivers, because they can make a huge leap in the championship. Both Boba and Lewis are still reserve drivers, of course, and they're 12th and 15th in the standings. So the race is led by 2 reserves. Don't forget that one. Not something the full-time drivers will like, with Iger Piasecki and Ryan Jacobs still trying to get past Justin Aerts. But Justin's RB is as wide as both of the Ferrari cars at the moment, it seems, because he doesn't want to let them past at all.
I think let's be honest. I think he's actually done something really good here. I think he's been saving his tires.
Yep.
I think he's really because we saw him. He was sitting P6, P7, and then in the last sort of six to 8 laps, he really made his push up the order. But this is exactly it. I think Justin Ertz saved his tires, and I think he's really gained a lot from that because I think he was looking to the flag, wasn't he? He was looking to that final lap, to that final straight, to that final time he has to cross the line. And it's obviously worked out here for him because he's now currently, almost 6/10 ahead. They can't overtake him down either straight, down the pit straight unless you're within 0.4 of a second. And down the second straight if you're within about a tenth and a half, 2/10. So, at the moment, it's looking like a very problematic thing for the Ferraris. But it looks like Justin Ertz just played the long game. And it's obviously proven to work for him here tonight. But you've still got to look at the two drivers who went for the alternative strategy. They went off course from the rest of the grid. They chose something very, very different, hard to medium. And the hard to medium drivers went 1-2. So, I mean, if you talk about success, that's definitely got to be one of the things up there. But as they round the final corner, we're going to be going round for the final lap now. Lap 35 is going to come to a close. We're going to go on to lap 36 and the final, lap 36 of lap 36. Here we go. And we cross the line to start that lap now. Boba versus Lewis Walker. The battle is on. Justin Ertz just gotten overtaken by one Ferrari. But you can see Lewis Walker working all he can to stay in front. He's using all the ERS he's got. Coming down this second straight. That McLaren closing. Not close enough. Still 2/10 behind. He's not going to be able to send it into turn 4. Still the battle going on. Further back. Justin Ertz fighting his way back up into P3 he goes. He's got to try and hold on to this. It should be quite easy for him to hold on to this as long as he keeps a decent enough gap. He should be able to stay up in P3 for most of the rest of this lap. Same goes for Lewis Walker, but we're going to see into the next corner. Is there going to be a dive bomb from the Ferrari? No, there isn't. Good braking from Justin Ertz. I think that's what's really gaining him in this race is his very strong braking. Now you can see Lewis Walker and Boba sitting only 3.5 difference. Remember what I said by the end of the straight. If you're within 0.4, you can make the overtake. But let's see, out of the final corner they go. Both of them get a very strong exit. Now heading up the hill. Who's got more ERS? It looks like it is Boba. He's going to have the DRS as well. But Lewis Walker's going to approach the line. Who's going to come across first? It will be Lewis Walker. They're equal. They're 52 thousandths. Justin Ertz, P3. There's a battle for the line. Lucas Baisner finishes P6. Bainer Lickies jumps, of course, Jay Kennedy. But what a finish. He got a 10-second time penalty for an unserved penalty, I do believe. And that race for the line between Lewis Walker and Boba, 52 thousandths of a second. No, we cannot just ignore that. That is one fight for line. And both these two of the Williams and McLaren drivers, generally, they fought all that they had. They pushed every little bit of them, but in the end, it wasn't enough. But still, it's a win for Williams. It's a win for the great driver of Lewis Walker. Congratulations to him. What a day it is for him as a reserve driver, and what a day we've had here in Brazil.
Yeah, that was quite a wild race. Justin Arts in the chat wondering what in the driving standards was today. There will definitely be some FIA investigations then for sure. Several drivers are doubting some things going on. I'm also wondering what Jay Kennedy got that 10-second time penalty for. Was it for speeding in the pit lane or something like that?
Uncertain
have
penalty,
to
I
have a
believe.
quick look at the incidents. Let's see if I can find it somewhere. And you can go through the race results as I search for that specific incident.
Lewis Walker, he started on the front row. It was almost destiny for him. He ended up winning. Boba also having a same-ish kind of day there. Just lost out on the victory by just 52 thousandths of a second. Justin Ertz, 7th to 3rd. What a strong day from the RB man when his teammate couldn't exactly keep up with him. Igor finishes 4th and Ryan Jacobs in 5th. Very strong day from Ferrari compared to the rest of their campaign. Lucas Baisner also having the same luck. Bainer Lickies what a day for this man, but it's not been a good what a day. It's been a rather bad one. 1st to 7th. Daniele Farinelli in 8th, with Jacob in 9th, and Zan Bida finishing 10th and the last of the point scorers. Lolo Vera is 11th, with Jay Kennedy in 12th, Patrick Pillis in 13th, Ivan Santamaria having a terrible day, finishing 14th, with Lighty in 15th. Our retirements tonight was Jan, Thomas Boldra, Anonymous, Isaac Leet, and Itzvan Tamasi, who retired on lap 1. Or was it lap 2 is one of them? I think it was lap 1 or 2. But
yeah, very early.
That is our race over in Brazil. And I've got to ask you, who is your driver of the day here tonight?
Yeah, I've also got an update on Jake Kennedy. First and foremost, he got a 10-second time penalty for cutting the corner and gaining 2 positions. So that might have happened in some sort of intense battle. So he could try and appeal for that one. I could also see that Thomas Boulder got a 10-second penalty for ignoring the blue flags while he was in front of those 2 Ferraris. Because ghosting is off, and I think he kind of forgot about it because they couldn't go through him. They had to go past him.
A bit of a mistake to make, isn't it? A little bit of a mistake. Ultimately, I have to say my driver tonight. It's difficult, but it's got to be Lewis Walker.
Yeah, I agree.
Strategy, and the triple overtakes he made tonight was. I have not seen that in Brazil around in Tier 3. I've never seen a driver make a triple, or was it a quadruple overtake?
At least a triple.
Yeah, I think
it was a triple one.
Yeah, I think it was a triple overtake, but I think he's done 2 of those this race, and I mean, I've never seen that before. So, I mean, driver of the day's got to go to him. He's had the racecraft throughout this race. He waited perfectly. He pitted at the right time. He didn't get scared by having to make a move. He didn't make a mistake when he had to make a move anyway. But, I mean, we've still got the giant crash to look at. But that's something that I'm definitely going to look at later. Yeah, the giant crash. That's what it's going to be known as, the crash of Tier 3.
I have some good news. All 3 of the top 3 are in the waiting for interview voice chat. So let's drag our race winner in first, I suggest.
Yep.
All right. Well then, off we go to our race winner. He's given up his full-time seat, and now he's won his first race of the season. Lewis Walker, congratulations. We're gonna have to talk about your strategy because I think that was key to your victory tonight, wasn't it?
Yeah. That's the strategy was. It wasn't by me. It was by someone in the team. But me and Boba worked together pretty well, and we knew everyone was gonna battle, so we just stayed out longer, and the strategy worked very well. So good strategy, yeah.
Yeah, started on the hards, went to the mediums, and as you said, you stayed out of most of the intense battles. How did you keep your head cool? Because there was so much going on.
Oh, my head was definitely not cool. I could tell you that.
Oh.
But it was interesting. Like the driving, it was very questionable for some people, but we got through in the end, me and Boba. So yeah, it's a win for the team. 1, 2, 3. So yeah, good.
Yeah, you gave up your full-time seat last week. Any regrets?
Well, I mean, probably yes, but I mean, I still drove the same car, which is not bad. But
didn't regret
the
it
thing
last
is,
week.
yeah, I won't make like quite a lot of the races, so I thought there's no point in me being a full-time seat. So yeah.
I mean,
yeah, still incredible job. Epic, any questions from you?
Definitely. I mean, how did you feel after making about 300 overtakes at the same time? But no, seriously, you made, I think, 2 triple overtakes. Please tell me how you did that. Please.
The tires, honestly, the tires were just amazing. The fresh tires against the half one hards they were perfect.
I mean, your racecraft was off the scale here tonight. Thank you for joining us here in interviews. I think it's one of the first times we've had people in the interviews this season.
Yeah, I think you're gonna get
as well.
You're gonna get here from everyone, so that's good.
Yeah, we're hoping, but thank you for joining us.
Yeah, cheers.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
Who do we
Right.
have next?
Justin Arts is still trying to fix his mic, so we're going to have to drag in Boba, the man who finished second this race. Was on the exact same strategy as our race leader. So I'm going to ask the exact same question as I asked Lewis Walker. The strategy, hard to medium, was it key to the victory tonight? Or second place, sorry, tonight.
Yes, it was. We we went long and then everyone else fighted and then we won. Yes.
Yeah, Lewis Walker said it was suggested by the team. Was it also suggested to you, or was it one
Yeah,
of was
yeah,
this
it
your
was
own
both of,
thinking?
It was both of us. He wanted it and he won the last, or he was leading the last race as well, but he got penalty, so now he got his win. So yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of chaos out there on track. At some points, you were sinking through the field, and suddenly you found yourself back up there. So how did you do that?
Everyone went the box and yeah, I got back there.
And then, of course, there was, because of the chaos, like Lewis, you tried to keep your head cool. Did it work out for you? Because Lewis said he couldn't keep his head cool, but he still won. How was that for you?
Yes, I tried to. It worked good. Yes, nothing else.
Sounds good. Epic, any questions from you?
No, not really. I think you summed up the entire race. Really, I think you just put on a brilliant race. Like Lewis
Yes,
Walker. I mean,
thank you.
both of you deserved the win, to be honest. But of course, only one can win.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you feel still finishing second? I mean, it's still.
I'm very
brilliant.
happy.
Well, that's always great to hear. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight.
Yep.
Hope all the luck to you for the next few races and for the rest of the season. Hopefully,
Yeah,
we'll
thank
see
you
you a
as
few
well.
more times.
Yep. See you.
Looks like Justin's microphone issues are a bit much. Oh, he's actually back in the waiting for interview box. He's wanting to test it. So let's drag him in and see if we can actually hear Justin. Justin, first and foremost, test 1, 2, 3, please.
Hello. Hello. Is it high
It's we can hear you. It's somewhat there. So let's try and see if this works out. You saw Lewis Walker and Boba finishing on the medium tires well ahead of the rest of the field. You began on the mediums and finished on the hards. So in terms of strategy, why the mediums first and then the hards?
Because it was faster, at least so I thought. But yeah, like you said, those on the mediums towards the second, they were able to catch up. I think because of the lapped car. I'm not sure who it was, but held us up quite severely. Yeah, I think the strategy was pretty good. I felt pretty good, but ultimately the holding it allowed the medium to just explode.
Yeah, this race was also quite explosive as well. You had to try and keep your car in one piece, negotiating your way all through the chaos everywhere. Out of all the moments, which one was for you the most intense out there?
Probably the beginning, with, I don't know who it was, but it was the Red Bull Daniel. Yeah, I was fighting for what I thought was 6th place, and then suddenly find myself in third. It wasn't fun mentally. Yeah, so I'd say that would probably be it. I know I'm cutting out, so I'm trying to slow down here.
Yeah, and then you finished third. Is it something you can be satisfied with all that happened this race?
Yeah, I mean, I outscored all the drivers. It was just reserves who finished front. Okay, I'm cutting.
Yeah, that's very true. Actually, you did extend your championship lead to your teammate and the Alpine drivers as well. So that's a good thing you can take away from tonight. Epic, any questions from you?
How was it when you were sort of coming up to the end of the race, you know, knowing you were in for the chance, of course, of a podium, but those two steaming Ferraris behind you? Were you sort of worried when you were overtaken by, I believe it was Ryan Jacobs, if I'm correct? It was one of the Ferraris. Were you a little bit worried that maybe you had just lost it at that point?
I'm gonna try it like this. I don't know if it helps, but yeah, having the two Ferraris behind was definitely stressful because I thought they'd work together to try and catch up, but I just had a bit too much pace for them, luckily. And yeah, just keeping it clean, saving ERS for the final straight. And it was tight, but I think I had more ERS even towards the end. He wasn't catching. It was stressful, yeah.
Definitely a slight flex of you being faster, but I mean, very, very, very fast racing from you. Ultimately, thank you so much for joining us. Well done on your podium. It's very nice to see you on the podium once again. Hopefully, we'll be seeing you many, many more times this season. I suspect we will, especially with how you, your teammate, and the Alpines have been doing so far this season. I think we'll see you practically every single race. But ultimately, good luck. Well done on extending your championship lead. And we'll
Thanks,
hopefully speak to you
bud.
soon.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Cheers.
So, that's the interviews done for tonight. That's all of our interviews. I think that's everybody, unless there's gonna. I know there's gonna be one person waiting there to be interviewed. I bet there will be. No, there isn't. Usually there's.
There
one
isn't,
person.
no.
Usually there's one person who just wants to be interviewed for the sake of it. Very good race though. Very nice to hear from the drivers, of course. I think it's the first time this season I've heard from the drivers. But ultimately, it was very good tonight. But of course, it is that time of the night and that time of the stream to say goodbye. Let's remind you of the calendar. I won't remind you of the standings because they're not dated fully. So we've done Australia, Austria, Belgium, and now Sao Paulo. We've done the first 4 of the season. We're slowly approaching that halfway point. Well, there isn't a real halfway point, but you know what I mean. Ultimately, next week, we're going to Qatar on the 12th, followed by Abu Dhabi. Then we're going to have a break week, sadly. So after Abu Dhabi, you guys are going to be missing us quite a bit. I know you will. But we'll be back for Italy, Bahrain, Mexico City. Then we go to Saudi Arabia. And on September the 30th, we'll be going to Suzuka in Japan. Very legendary and beautiful track, I must say. Ultimately, also go make sure you follow us on TikTok, as you can see in the top left. In the middle, at the top, you can see WR League on Twitter. Also go and subscribe to us here. Show some support to both me and Frostbreath. It really does help. It just shows that we at least do something right. So make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and also click on the notification bell down below to know about every single stream we do and every single clip or video we upload, because we do many. Also, thank you to our sponsors, Event Next Level Racing and Grid Finder. But before we go, I'm gonna let you, Frostbreath, have a final word. Do you have any to the amazing people who watch us every week?
Thank you so much, everybody. It's been a good one once again. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. We'll see you next week. Same place, same time. Until then, goodbye.
Very true. Best way to end it. Ultimately, same thing here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have an absolutely amazing week. And I hope to see you very soon. Goodbye.